Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for diehard Houston sports fans. From a diehard Houston sports fan, I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite diehard Astros fan podcaster. I might have to add some extra qualifiers in there for some of you, but that's okay. Of course, I'm an actor, improviser, writer, creative multi-hyphenate, and the most important one, of course, I'm a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. Now, I might not have lived in Houston when it was the Alabama movie theater, but I did live in the Houston area when it was the Alabama bookstore. Now it's a Trader Joe's. I guess that's to make me feel more comfortable when I visit Houston. I was born and raised in Houston. Obviously, now I live out here in Los Angeles where I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer. And now, I'm podcasting. That's what happens when you hit 10 years out here. You start absent-mindedly calling it the 10 instead of I-10. And the mayor shows up and just gives you podcasting equipment. Welcome to said podcast. Space Cadet Sports started as a passion project because most media is infuriating as a diehard long-term fan of your Houston Astros and your other Houston sports teams. Here, we aren't doomers and gloomers. We're not those casual Astros fans. Or worse, the national media haters and ignorers. We love our teams and root them on, but we also try to discuss the ins and outs of those teams without too much homerism. The key word here, of course, is try. I'd like to welcome returning listeners and, of course, welcome new listeners to what my brothers call the Paul blog. I barely got through that. Hey, brothers. Check out spacecadetsports.substack.com. Shout out to my brothers. Shout out to Arrested Development fans. Shout out to, my diction coach. I got to start doing some more tongue twisters before I start recording here. Check out the blog for the full blog experience, or the full blog experience, depending on your interpretation of my mumbling here. We're recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined, as always, by my co-host and co-producer, The Roz. To my Frasier, Carla the dog is here with me today. Long-time listeners of the pod know that Carla may get on mic from time to time. She's got the hot takes on this podcast. I've got the cool, reasonable takes. That's right. I'm here to be reactionary. In a world of hot takes, in a world of anger, rage bait, clickbait, just get everybody all riled up for the sake of it, podcasts and blogs. I try to tell you this is your safe haven to be a fan. If you want to be a positive fan, this is your podcast. If you just want to be angry and hateful all the time, you might want to go back to those other ones. Of course we're going to be frustrated. Of course we're going to make our jokes, but we don't try to resort to clickbaitism here. I'm not a journalist. I'm a comedian. I'm a super fan, so I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. But what I'm not is definitely a clickbait artist or a hot take spokesman. Folks, on this episode of the podcast, Yordan is back. That's right. I got the news immediately. Ran around trying to find my recording equipment. Yordan is back. Praise the Lord. Past ammunition. We need this. Not just as fans. Of course not. If you've been watching the game, you know. If you've been watching the games like I do, I watch all the games. That's the one thing. I guess if there's one piece of credibility there is, besides just coming on here and making jokes, that would be the piece of credibility. I watch all the games. I've been watching all the games. At least for this golden era. I've been watching, loving the Astros and keeping track of them since the late 80s, folks. we're not going to age me anymore. We're also going to talk about what else is on this podcast besides me just kind of going off the cuff all the time. We have Yordan back. We're excited about it. But what does this mean? Does this mean more left fielder Altuve? We'll talk about that briefly. We're going to also talk about the Astros beating the Orioles in an offensive series for both teams. We're also talking about the Texans setting up their roster, or setting, I don't know what this sentence says here, knocking down their roster to 53. I'm going to have to talk to the writer of this podcast. Carla's giving me a mirror so I could yell at myself. The Astros look ahead to their series against the Rockies here to end this rocky stretch of games. Folks, I just want to wish a good day, mates, to all my listeners out there, but especially the Australians and the H-Town Hustlers. If you know a Houston superfan or an Australian in your life, let them know we're out here. Tell them about this podcast. Let's get to it. The Astros start to get right behind an offensive explosion in the friendly confines of Baltimore. At least, Jose Altuve loves hitting there. It wasn't the best series for him specifically, but for the team overall, it really was. The Astros took 3 of 4 games from the O's in this. Every now and then when the Baltimore fans are chanting, "Let's go O's," for a little bit sometimes with my old man ears listening here, on TV, sometimes it says like it sounds like they're saying "Let's go Stros," which the Astros travel really well. There's some stadiums that you can hear the Astros fans in it, but I don't think this was one of them. They had that bird bath. If you're watching the games like I did, you saw that they just spray down their fans with a water hose. That's just part of it. On a hot day, honestly, on a hot day, I get it. If you're watching baseball in a hot summer game, just spray me down with water. But it was a very odd thing to see, if nothing else. But let's get to the games, folks. Let's talk about some baseball. Game 1 of this series, the Astros won 7-2. I talked about this one briefly. I don't want to go into too much detail, but Jesus Sanchez, the 5-hit game. Oh man, a lot of people are like, Jose Altuve has got to be upset. I don't think he's going to be that upset. Obviously, he probably makes his jokes, but yeah, it just goes to show baseball is a lovely sport. Why Jose Altuve can't get 5 hits, why he can't get that one. Just get over the bump on that one. I don't know. It's just how it goes. 5 hits is a tough thing to do. But Jesus Sanchez getting his tough streak over. Victor Caratini also losing his hitless streak. A lot of these Astros players, coming into this series, or some of them frankly in the middle of the series, we're running into a little bit of a cold stretch. So it was good to see some of these guys shake that off and find some hits. This team overall to find some offense and just kind of get that monkey off their back. So it was good to see Jesus Sanchez do that. The heart of this lineup in this game also shaking that monkey off their back as Christian Walker and Yonder Diaz hit a home run in this game. That's one of the things that if you've been listening this season that I have been just shouting about since day one, since the first week of the season. See, it isn't just all rose petals here, folks. I think some people are like, oh, he's just going to have a bunch of homer takes. He's going to be toxic positivity. No, I don't want to resort to just being angry for anger's sake. There's so many crazy things going on in the world. I say this all the time. There's so many insane things going on in the world. There's so many fights that I have to fight on an everyday basis. Look, I have to have my passport on me at all times in Los Angeles nowadays. There's so many crazy things that are happening in this world that are important that I don't want to be angry all the time over the thing that I've elected to do, which is be a baseball fan. So here, we're going to get frustrated. I've been frustrated about this, the heart of this offense all season long. Just really, at first it was because Yordan was injured and we didn't know it at the time, but he just really was struggling. We didn't get a lot of home runs from Walker in the beginning. Yonder was struggling in the beginning. The heart of that lineup was really, really struggling, and it really has been inconsistent all season long. So when you see a game like this, Carla is very much upset by this offense being inconsistent, obviously. But when you see an offense that the heart of the lineup picks them up and pulls them through, that's when you get a great outcome like a 7-2 game. So you love to see it. Carlos Bark just threw me off. I shut down my notes. I hit power on the screen, so I'm scrambling to get those notes back up. But I know I want to talk about the pitching in this game. The summer of George continued in this game. Jason Alexander, I mean, he gives up 2 in this game, but really had a great game. Okert, Ort, and King hold it down after Jason Alexander. George Costanza really having a great summer. This game, summer of George continued with 5 1/3 inning pitched. He did give up 8 hits, however, only 2 earned runs. He gave 1 walk, got 3 strikeouts, and one of those earned runs obviously was off of a homer. He gave up 1 home run in this game. So you just saw him out there battling. It was good to see. You were hoping a little bit that maybe he could get 6 innings out of it, but that's just, at that point you want a consistent outing from your starting pitcher. You want to win the game. So I was happy that he got lifted. I was happy that the bullpen picked him up. I'm really happy that the heart of the offense did great in this game. Carla is joining me in the studio, folks. She is back. She ran away to the window to bark at something. Now she is back. That is what you love to see. I'm getting notifications. No, I forgot to put my phone on silent. I apologize for all this buzzing, but I will let you know Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are officially engaged. Moving on to game 2. Look, folks, I know that's what y'all love to hear on sports podcasts. So I couldn't help it. I just knew that would make so many people happy. The second game of this series was the Astros winning 10-7. This game was all offense. This game was all gas. A football score in this game. It was like the Texans versus the Ravens, like I believe TK, or maybe that was Blummer. One of those jokesters on the broadcast was talking about. But McCullers was out there battling in this game. After the summer of George was continuing, you see McCullers out there. You're hoping that he can go out there and compete as well, and he did well. I think he could only go 4 innings pitched. He did pitch way too many. He threw so many pitches, but he did go 4 innings, giving up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Obviously, you love to see you love to see some strikeouts, but that in 4 innings, 4 is okay. But you're hoping for more, and not more. You're looking at the strikeout to walk ratio really in a situation like this with a guy like McCullers. That can find some trouble nipping the edges there and get into some walk trouble at times. You're hoping that he could limit those walks and limit that pitch count, but the walks and the pitch count in this one really killed him. I'm actually, I know we've been worried about McCullers. McCullers has really been on a roller coaster of how the fans have been looking at him. Obviously, I think a lot of Astros fans, have been hesitant to be too critical of Lance McCullers Jr. because he was dealing with some harassment earlier on in the season. A lot of the real ones, a lot of the people I talk to, not the bots online, not the degenerate gamblers overseas getting mad at these guys. The fans that I talk to, we don't want to be too critical of Lance McCullers, even though he has had some frustrating games this season, because we love the guy. Mr. Bury Me in the H. We stan Lance McCullers Jr. here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. So it's hard to be critical of him, but as it was tough, and then he had the finger blister like at a time where he kind of needed to get out of the rotation. He came back. He was able to compete a little bit more. There's been some mixed results, but truly seeing this outcome, seeing him in this game, I'm really thinking he can figure it out. But the answer, the question really isn't whether he could figure it out and be the Lance McCullers Jr. we know and love and be that very competitive pitcher, but is there enough season for him to figure it out this year? That's the real question. That's the question for almost the entire back end of the starting rotation right now. Sean Dubin in this game went out there and got drubbed It was a close game, 10-7, but he was at least able to eat a little bit. Take a bite out of those innings, maybe going 1 2/3 of an inning pitched, giving up three hits, 2 earned runs, and not directly after this game, but Sean Dubin was DFA'd, and he is now with the Orioles. So the Orioles saw something they liked, in that game, or at least saw, the tape, and thought that they could get Dubin being a little more competitive. Dubin had a good run with the Astros. He just really didn't find his spot in the rotation, or as long relief, or just in the bullpen. Just kind of mixed results, but Dubin definitely has gone out there and shoved at times. So we wish him success with Baltimore there. In this game, De Los Santos and Ort both gave up a run each. Next, here out of the bullpen in this game that just kept staying close, but Brian Abreu came in to steady the game, getting a 4-out and 4-strikeout save to end the game. That's his second save of the season. And Brian Abreu just looks pumped. He looks great out there in this closer role. You can go back a couple seasons now with the blog and the podcast to when I was saying Brian Abreu has the stuff to be a closer. He's definitely showcasing that now. It's good to see. With Hader being out, we definitely have to figure out this bullpen, but at least we don't have to stress too much about that ninth inning with Abreu there. In this game, Jeremy Pena and Christian Walker both homered. The offense was 4 of 10 with runners in scoring position and 10 hits as a team with 9 RBIs. The team had 4 walks and 9 strikeouts. That's a pretty decent ratio. Obviously, you want a little less striking out, but it was just a very efficient offense in this game. Great situational hitting, battling in these games. This team, is kind of shaking off that bad body language that people were claiming. It happens to the Astros all the time. Happens to all baseball teams, especially during the dog days of summer. People are like, oh, they just don't look like they're trying out there. It's like baseball is a very casual, lackadaisical sport. There's not a lot of intense moments. There's a lot of calmness in between the short spurts of intensity, and a lot of body language experts come out of the woodwork and start saying how teams are feeling. But with me, I'm not going to go off on body language experts today, folks. I'm going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back with the other 2 games and talk about the Astros going forward and have some Texans news in as well. So stay tuned.
Houston Astros, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
Folks, we have to keep the ball rolling here. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. Welcome back to those of you who listen to the middle of the podcast. Welcome. We're very happy to have you here, you crazy, crazy person. Well, why do you do this? Why do you listen to the beginning, to the middle of podcasts only? But I'm glad I reset it for you. Game 3 of the Houston Astros Orioles series here. We're kind of recapping that series here. So we're looking at Game 3 where the Astros won 9-8. We have more Walker homers. We have more Sanchez hits. More slugging from the heart of the lineup. 11 hits from the 2 through 5 hitters in Game 3, folks. Correa, Sanchez, Walker, and Caratini all homer in this one, folks. They were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. But when the heart of the lineup is slugging, when the heart of the lineup is hitting, like I've been saying, when they're doing so great, it really covers up a multitude of sins. That's why you put them in the heart of the lineup, folks. That's why you need the heart of the lineup to carry you. It was a great offensive game for the heart of the lineup. Definitely, you love to see them keep that momentum going. However, the pitching was a little bit of a rough watch in this game, with Christian Javier only being able to go 2 innings pitched, only able to pitch 2 innings, I'm trying to say. He gave up 3 hits with 5 runs, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, but he did pick up 3 strikeouts. There was some moments where it looked like that his pitches were looking sharp. There's some moments where it looked like he was having trouble locating. It was just kind of a mixed outing for Christian Javier. And I know this is a little, could be a little troubling for a lot of Astros fans. I think it was not my favorite thing to watch Christian Javier go up there and struggle, throw a lot of pitches, and have to be taken out of the game early. But you have to remember, this guy is coming back from Tommy John surgery a lot quicker than a lot of the pitchers that the Astros have brought back in the past. So we're really, we're bringing him back as soon as he's completely healthy. He's having some struggles. We knew that this could be the case where a pitcher coming back from the IL for such a long time is going to have some up and down performances. So I'm just saying he's going to have some tough ones here and there. Hopefully he's shaking them off and able to stay strong and stay healthy. That's really the thing we're looking at here. If the Astros and Mariners get that much tighter here as September is rolling along, the team, Joe Espada, Dana Brown, they both have some big decisions to make about that pitching rotation if this AL West race continues to stay tight. So we're hoping, just like I was saying with McCullers, that we're hoping that both of these pitchers have enough time this season to figure it out. But these next couple of weeks will be telling when we see how the Astros are doing and how the Mariners are doing in that AL West race. Moving on to some other pitchers, De Los Santos had a clean inning in the third, and then AJ Blueball, rookie pitcher, came up with, and he had 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. The young pitcher AJ Blueball just got better as he went, but obviously, in this type of a game, you're hoping that you just have somebody out there that could eat some innings because you did not anticipate your starter to just have 2 innings in him. So it was good to see AJ Blueball go out there, compete. Obviously he had some tough moments, but he did get better as the game went on. I liked seeing what he had. I liked to see him compete. There's even a moment I was like, maybe this is a guy that we could use next season, but I don't know. I guess if we're really struggling for some starting pitchers, obviously Christian Javier and Lance McCullers struggling, you like to see some young pitchers go out there and find some success because we really hate to depend on them. But if our regular starters are struggling, it would be nice to make sure we have something back there. Obviously, a lot of people have been critical of Dana Brown not getting more starting pitching at the trade deadline, but they just frankly couldn't afford it. I get that we wanted starting pitching. I was saying I wanted starting pitching. I was saying it was kind of a bummer for me to not get a starter. However, you do have to look at the market and to see what was available. And we'll have to see at the end of the season. If like Charlie Morton or pitchers like that maybe the Astros could have contended for, if that would have put us over the top. Right now, I'm really unsure. I think that's I don't agree with that take. I think I do like the Astros starting pitching. It just has been a season from hell with all of these injuries. But like I said, that's more of a thing that we will see as this month continues as to whether or not that is just rage bait or if that's actually fairly accurate. In this game, AJ Blueball actually, he was sent down the next day, I believe, to AAA. But in this game, to finish it off, Blueball kept it competitive. The Astros offense kept it competitive. Brian King gets his 23rd save. Brian King gets his 23rd hold of the season, and Brian Abreu gets his 3rd save in this game. Moving on to Game 4, Baltimore 1-2-3. Bats on both sides just went quiet, but the Astros just could not get enough runs to win this game. Spencer Arrighetti having a strong performance, especially after the other 2 starting pitchers' performances that went just before him. Arrighetti was able to go 5 2/3 inning, giving 6 hits up, 2 earned runs, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 1 home run. I want to focus on that 0 walks. Guys like McCullers, guys like Arrighetti sometimes can start struggling with that strike zone the way I'm struggling with my with my diction here. But, Eric Getty giving up 0 walks is great. Getting 2 strikeouts, obviously you're hoping for that Eric Getty to go out there and get some more strikeouts, get some more swing and miss. But, it was a tough one, but he did compete. Then we had Rooney. Oh, my gosh, I didn't even... I apologize. I'll pull that up. But making his Major League debut, he went 1 1/3 of an inning in this game, giving up. Oh no, I hit the. Now I'm just struggling through my notes. Come here, Carla. She's like, what have you done, Dad? But that's he gave up one. He had 1 hit, 1 run, obviously 1 earned run, 1 walk, and got 2 strikeouts. And that, I apologize once again, that's John Rooney making his Major League debut. So it was tough to see him give up that home run in the game, because you just were hoping that the Astros were going to be able to win this one. But with the offense going the way it was, it just didn't feel that late in the game. It just felt like that could be the nail in the coffin. Sadly it was. Also in this game, Craig Kimbrell makes his Astros debut. He went out there and pitched an inning, giving up 1 hit and getting 2 strikeouts. The bottom of the lineup really struggled to get on base in this game. Cam Smith working a walk being the highlight for the bottom of the offensive lineup, I should say. But the heart of the lineup was not as consistent either. No home runs out of them. 3-for-11 with runners in scoring position as a team with 8 men left on base. Obviously not the numbers that we had the rest of the series, so not going to lead to some good numbers, not to lead to a win, probably not going to lead to at least 4 runs that we need to win a game. Generally, 4 to 5 runs is when the Astros sweet spot this season. The offense could have won, but struggled to just get 1 more productive situational hit. Frustrating, because we want to win a lot of games, but you can't win them all, right? So you're just hoping that the Astros will be able to bounce back, keep that momentum going, not worry too much about a tougher game here. The Astros have the Rockies up next, and we're looking for this team to put the pedal to the metal and accelerate to the end of this month and the end of this season. Let's look at these Rockies matchups here as we preview this series. Rockies game 1. Today, that's Tuesday, for those of you who might not be listening the same day of recording. That's going to be Diesel, Hunter Brown, going out there for the Houston Astros. He's 10-5 with a 2.36 ERA, 170 strikeouts this season. He'll be pitching against the Rockies' Tanner Gordon, 27-year-old right-handed pitcher who's 4-5 with a 7.11 ERA, 27 strikeouts, and 44 1/3 of an inning pitch with a 1.67 WHIP. The second game 2 on Wednesday, is going to be La Grasa, Framber Valdez, the franchise, 11-7 with a 3.32 ERA and 153 strikeouts, looking to really bounce back. He's had a tough August. We're looking for La Grasa to get consistent yet again. He'll have a good chance to do it against Colorado, hopefully. He'll be pitching against Chase Dollander, 23-year-old right-handed pitcher who's 2-10 with a 6.91 ERA, 68 strikeouts, and 82 innings pitched with a 163 WHIP. Both of these Rockies pitchers so far have some very lopsided numbers. However, we're just hoping that the Astros can make sure that they are, competing against them and not making them look quite amazingly as they've done against some struggling pitchers so far this season. The third game is going to be some afternoon ball. The summer of George continues for the Houston Astros as Jason Alexander goes up to pitch. He's 4-1 with a 4.59 ERA and 38 strikeouts on the season, and he'll be pitching against TBD for the Colorado Rockies. Then the Astros will play the Angels, but while we're playing the Rockies, while we have the Angels on the horizon, we do not want to get too content. Obviously, as fans, we're nervous, but the team doesn't want to get too content. We want to make sure they show up and win these series, and it's just not a given. The Rockies are still a baseball team. They can go out there and run into some wins. You want to respect them. You want to make sure this team gets a great offensive performance against these pitchers and, against the Angels, who really showed up against the Dodgers this season. Moving on to the Houston Texans, folks. That's right. Foosball is the devil, and foosball is right around the corner. The Texans preseason is over, and the hand-wringing over the final roster has begun. Big news for the Houston Texans, obviously, that does, is going to have some ramifications for how the offense, how the roster shapes up, is that Joe Mixon will miss the first 4 weeks of the season. Obviously, we knew that he wasn't going to be completely ready for the beginning of the season, but now we know, hopefully we'll have him back, have him back after those 4 weeks. We will see, but in the meantime, we will have to see what other running backs will be used and what the platoon will look like as the season starts. You know that Nick Caley and the new offense for the Houston Texans does want to get the pace going by running the ball. So will this be a Dameon Pierce season? I'm kind of thinking so. I think we're gonna see some really good stuff out of Dameon Pierce. I think that going to a zone blocking scheme really had Dameon Pierce struggle last season. He has had some up and down moments for the Houston Texans, but I'm hoping that we can get some good stuff. We got Nick Chubb, Dare Ngumbawale, so we'll see what this running back squad, and British Brooks, of course, what they'll have to give for the Texans offense and help that pace in the first 4 weeks of the season. The Texans also traded for an offensive tackle. I believe this is from the Chargers. I didn't write that down. It's definitely from Los Angeles. The offensive tackle Austin Deculus for a 7th-round pick from the Houston Texans. So we're getting we have a little new blood for this offensive line. So we'll have to see where he factors in. I think this is I don't really know. This is fairly new to me. I got to be honest with you. I'm not really sure how he will factor in. But I do know that this offense has been completely revamped. They're dealing with some injuries. Obviously, it's going to be a platoon offensive line. It kind of feels like this season, which makes a lot of people nervous. But we'll have to go see what the results are, folks. They really shook it up. This offseason, Larry Tunsil is gone. We're going to have to see if the big risks that the Texans took of completely revamping their line and not going for big names works. We'll see if this workman line and journeyman line kind of works. I feel like it can. Last season we had some tough results. If it's better than last season, then it's a success for me, but we will have to see. As the Houston Texans are getting down to 53 men, we're looking at things like, will there just be 2 quarterbacks on this team? We know that Mixon is out. We know that we're going to want some running backs. So does that mean that Graham Mertz might be the odd man looking in here? And if that's the case, will somebody else just pick up Graham Mertz? Because there's a lot of people that are fans of young Graham. This new offensive line will definitely be probably the thing that makes most people angry this season. I like to say we don't want to be hot take. We don't want to constantly be in our emotions. But I know in Houston, in Texas, a lot of people are going to be emotional about their football teams. Just calmate. Just remember to be reasonable. Let's not get too worked up and emotional, folks. Save that emotion for the things that matter in your life. Or at least let's be happy about the defense. I really think the defense is looking to keep that parade going this season. I have a lot of faith in DeMeco Ryans. I am looking to see what this defense gives us. I am very excited about this Houston Texans team. I really think they're winning the AFC South. I know that isn't a very bold prediction, but 10 to 11 wins seems very reasonable for this team. Winning the AFC South seems very reasonable for this team. I cannot wait to see what what the Texans have for us this season, because I really think that they are going to just keep getting better and better as the season progresses. And I'm excited to see. What this team will look like about mid-season here. The known cuts for the Houston Texans so far as of the afternoon here on Tuesday. I have Trent Brown, offensive tackle. Trent Brown has been cut from the Texans. Kedon Slovis, quarterback, who had a lot of people were talking about even potentially being that third quarterback over Graham Mertz. Slovis definitely impressed in camp. Safety Jalen Mills, linebacker Nick Nyman, sorry. Guys, I do apologize. Please, always let me know if I'm mispronouncing things. I do not mind. I never mean to be disrespectful. Sometimes when I'm reading things, I just mispronounce things I don't know if it's a reading thing or a me thing. All I'm saying is I don't mean to be disrespectful. You could definitely send me some proper pronunciation, even if it isn't for names. You could just tell me that you're not even saying that word correctly. I probably say things weird all the time. You could let me know. As long as it's from a place of love. That's what people comment on the internet for, right? They criticize you from a place of love. Well, folks, let me know. Apologies to Mr. Oh God, and now I'm just scared to mispronounce it. But Nyman, Mr. Nyman there, or Neiman. Oh man, now I'm just I'm gonna go with Neiman. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I apologize. Oh, man. Offensive guard, Ladarius Henderson is also cut. Cornerback, Arthur Mollett. And defensive back, Miles Bryant. One name that we know for sure is running back and fullback, British Brooks. That's not a big surprise, seeing that Joe Mixon is going to be out for an extended amount of time. And a guy like British Brooks is very versatile and very well liked on the team. Before we end, folks, it is National Dog Day. It's always National Dog Day here. I literally just got up and moved mid-recording, hoping that you wouldn't hear it so that Carla could be more comfortable. You know, we love Carla here. She is such a good girl. She loves being here on the podcast. So she says hi. And if you got a pup at home, give that pup an extra squeeze for me and Carla. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Carla says you can go out there and buy a Carla the dog hat to celebrate National Dog Day. It's a nice H-Town blue hat with a minimalist Carla the dog face design on it. And before we end, just a friendly reminder not to impersonate law officers in Houston. You probably don't want to come to a Houstonian's house without a warrant. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thank you so much for listening to the pod. Please like it, rate it, review it, subscribe it, share it, bop it, kick it, smash it. Hit all of those buttons for me. We are a small podcast and we only go as far as our listenership takes us. We are supported by listeners like you. Dun, 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 dun. So please share with a Houston fan or Australian in your life, or give us a 5-star rating wherever you are listening to this podcast on. A lot of people ask me, Paul, how can we support the podcast? Folks, the easiest way to support the podcast is giving me that 5-star review. If you like it, that really goes a long way. That's as good as gold in my eyes. Or you could buy some merch or check out the Substack. Check out the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can subscribe to be a supporter. You get every podcast for free. We have some stuff behind a paywall. If you want to be a premium subscriber for a very low monthly fee, you can be a premium subscriber. You're helping support the podcast, helping support the blog, helping support me and Carla. It takes a lot of time to do all these things. We want to share our love with the Houston teams with all of you out there, but that is a great way to support. You can subscribe for free and get so much content. Just let me know if you are a premium subscriber and you're like, I have a good idea for a premium perk. You can let me know and we could build this community together. You could also check out the merch. Aircraft carrier hats, Don't Sleep on Houston t-shirts, Carla the dog hats. You can find that at paulsalazarjr.net. If you want to let us know what you think, folks, if you are an insider to the Houston Texans and you know how the 53-man roster is going to shake up, let me know on social media at Space Cadet Sports, at spacecadetsports.bsky.social, or obviously you can let me know on Substack, or even leave a message on SpeakPipe. That's speakpipe.com/spacecadetsports. We want to know what you think. Obviously, the internet can be a crazy space, but if you want to engage with me about Houston sports and even disagree with me, that's totally okay. Just come with the right attitude, come with some respect. I love to talk with people on the internet about Houston sports. If we're just clowning around too, that's fine too. But just know If you come too crazy, you will get blocked. I don't have time for crazy people. Folks, with that being said, with me saying I don't have time for crazy people, if you're a crazy person and the things I've said haven't annoyed you and you want to know more about me, you're like, this is a crazy guy for me, you can find me specifically online at Paul Salazar Jr., making weird jokes, memes, art, podcasts, and so much more at Paul Salazar Jr., paulsalazarjr.net, because I'm nothing but net. Where you can find my other Substack, where I review movies, where I do comedy stuff, and all kinds of other nonsense, if you're nasty. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos Houston.